Hi everyone, welcome again to another Teacher Joseph video clip. And here we are again, going through my weekly lesson. We've done bits and pieces of this already, so we're going to try to do the next part of this. Okay, so we're picking up on more complicated idioms and phrasal verbs, these kinds of things. Okay, so let me just read this part here. In every language learning class, there's always one person who has too much fluency for the class they're in, and another who knows next to nothing. This immediately gets people's backs up. Okay, this is an interesting thing. If you get someone's back up, it means that you upset them. Your presence annoys them. It's nothing to do with backup of a computer or reversing a car. That's also backup in American English. Hey, will you back up your car? We would use reverse here in British English. Nothing to do with that. To get someone's backup, and it's important that you use it with get, is to upset someone or to annoy someone. And the best way to think of this is a cat. So if cats get upset or if they're afraid, they stand up on their four legs and they raise their backs in a kind of arch position. That is the cat getting his back up. It's not back up one word, it's two words. Back is going up. Okay, so if you get someone's back up, you cause their back to go up. Not literally, but metaphorically, just like the cat. Because of the way I've written this sentence, I'm using plurals. This immediately gets, okay, people's backs up. Yeah, so people's, the backs of people. Then I have to pluralize this. But the actual expression is to get someone's back up. Oops, my terrible typing. Oh yeah. Okay, this is the expression. Okay, so you could say something like, "Oh, uh, my boss really got his back up when I asked for a pay rise yesterday." If you're arguing with your partner, wife, boyfriend, whoever, you could say, "Look, there's no need to get your back up. It means don't be so defensive." So it's basically another way to talk about people who get really defensive. And in a language class, if someone knows too much, the people who know too little are going to be a little bit uptight or defensive, especially when they're asked questions by the teacher to get someone's back up. All right, there we are. Lovely phrase, that. Very nice phrase. Let's just carry on here to the end of this paragraph. Create a culture of blame when people compare themselves to each other and feel they're not learning. If these students had been kids, it would have been brushed off. Yeah, if something is brushed off or brushed aside, it means that it's ignored. If you go and ask your boss for a pay rise, he's going to just brush you off. He'll say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, fine. Yeah, go back to your desk. We think about it and talk about it later." That's being given the brush off or to be brushed off. Yeah, so someone who quickly gets you to go back to what you were doing and isn't listening to you, they're giving you the brush off or they are brushing you off. Yeah, so in this case, if someone is not good in a language class, they would just have been brushed off with the opinion, well, you don't, have the intellectual capacity or you haven't learned it. To brush someone off is not to give them the space they need to express and not to give them what they want. So it would have been brushed off as one student being more intelligent than the other, but when everyone in the class is mature, there is always a level of discomfort. In the minds of adults in these kinds of situations, someone has to be blamed. And I could see that just like a sliding puzzle, everything was beginning to slip into place, just like a sliding puzzle. I don't know if you remember those, but you used to get these little plastic squares which had little squares inside them. And you had to move the squares around by moving the other squares to form a pattern. It was like a very basic game before the internet came. It was a bit of plastic, and in it there was kind of like a 4 by 4 number of squares, and you would move them around each other to try to create the pattern that it had on it. Yeah, a sliding puzzle. Yeah, they were fun, those things. I think I might still have some lying around here. Just little bits of plastic, very cheap. Usually had a logo or some kind of identity or picture on them. And you had to push these little squares around the board to form um, a clear picture. So, as a metaphor, just like a sliding puzzle, everything was beginning to be seen or come into place. Someone has to be blamed for what was regarded as a lack of progress. And in this meeting, attention was turning to the teacher. Um, in my career as a teacher, I had seen heads roll for this. Yeah, if heads roll, it means someone gets fired, disciplined, moved. Yeah, so if someone's head rolls, it means they're given the axe. So you can imagine you cut off someone's head, their head rolls down the mountain or down the road. Yeah, that's where it comes from. So that's a metaphor for someone getting fired. A boss might say, look, one of you has done something terribly wrong. Heads will roll for this. It's very common. Yeah. In any company, for the boss to say, look, somebody has to take responsibility for this problem. Somebody's head will roll. It means somebody will be executed, but as a metaphor, it means somebody will be punished or fired. There we are. That's it from me for today. Good to have you all back. I'm glad there's been no technical problems. I think part of the problem is because I changed my system to Dutch because I'm sure that it will help me learn in some passive way. But the problem is, well, everything's in Dutch in my menus. I don't understand very much of it. So it's a bit of a headache for the first few days. There we are. Enjoy your day. Bye.